balance is off on these. They had the balance figured out with the Shamans. Just do the same with the Trances. This is an Evolv Trance shoe. These are Evolv Trance shoes. They come in pair, which is fortunate. I have 2 feet. These are newly released shoes as of August 2026. I managed to get a hold of a pair, and I am excited to tell you about my first impressions of them. I have climbed with them for about 4 climbing sessions so far, and I do have some thoughts. If you're new to this channel, please give this channel a subscribe. I don't do a ton of long form videos. I mostly dabble in the shorts world, but I promise you my shorts are swell. I don't apologize for that. My shorts are swell. What I was drawn to with the Evolv Trance shoes is one, they are a new line of Evolv shoes, and I love Evolv shoes. I love Evolv shoes sometimes a little too hard, as evidenced by my growing collection of holy Evolv shoes. I need to work on footwork. That's the lesson here. Don't ignore footwork, people. It'll save you a lot of money in the long run, because these shoes, they're not cheap. I needed a new pair of shoes. My current shoes were starting to get a little holy. So I decided instead of buying a pair of the same shoes that I always buy, I was going to buy some of these to test them out, see how they go. My normal shoe is the Evolv Shaman low volumes, as you can see right here. So I'll be comparing and contrasting these 2 shoes, but what I say about this shoe isn't necessarily reserved just for comparison. So stick around even if you don't know anything about Evolv shoes. So what was I expecting with these Evolv Trance shoes when I picked them up? Honestly, not much. Not because Evolv shoes aren't great, they are, but because, to my mind, 90% of climbing shoes are pretty much the same, and the 10% uniqueness of a climbing shoe really only matters to maybe like 10% of climbers. So if you're a general hobbyist climber out there and you climb, on the weekends, or you climb, up to 5, 6 range, generally speaking, my opinion, and maybe this is a hot take, is that your shoe doesn't really matter, except that it needs to fit well and the rubber needs to be pretty good and sticky. Other than that, you can make most climbing shoes work. With that being said, I was expecting these shoes to perform adequately. They have an aggressive point, as you can see right here. It's already starting to flatten out a little bit, even after just a few sessions. If you look at stock images of these shoes, they're like this. And after a few sessions, they do tend to flatten out. Similar with the Evolv Shamans. These almost look completely neutral now, but if you look at stock photos, they're somewhat aggressive, not super aggressive, but somewhat. Also, you'll notice with these, the point has started to wear a little bit, and that is absolutely going to happen with these as well. That is true with any point on any aggressive shoe. The point rubber part will start to wear out. In terms of rubber, they are very sticky on the bottom, which is awesome. I think probably a little bit stickier than brand new Shamans, though I don't have the details to state if that's fact. I don't have the specs. Yes, you do, Caleb, you freaking liar. They're right here on this computer screen. Over here, we have the Shaman Trances. It looks like 3.5 millimeter Evo, 74 front, outside. I don't know, a lot of stuff about rubber and sizes and stuff. And then if you look over here for the Shamans low volume specifically, we have other stuff listed here. I'm not going to pretend to know what any of this means. All I know is that the shoes are different when it comes to rubber. That is data. So back to old dumb Caleb. But they feel a little stickier than I remember these being brand new. The fit is great, and I expect nothing less from Evolvs. One of the things that I love about Evolvs is that they do feel like slippers. They're so comfortable. Lastly, expectations-wise, I'm expecting to continue to hate this fastener. I hate this fastener. I've ripped off 3 of these, I think. Thankfully, Evolv has been very cool and they've sent me replacements, but either I need to figure out a better way to fasten these things more delicately, or the system is just bad. After 4 sessions, how do I feel about these shoes? Honestly, I feel pretty good about them. The rubber is still pretty sticky, which is super great. The form hasn't really flattened too much. Now, I do walk around with my shoes on, which is probably a problem. You should probably take your shoes off before attempts and sends, or at least sit down so that you're not flattening them and possibly ruining the aggressive nature of some of these shoes. But I'm not gonna do that. So I'm not gonna dock points for these things starting to flatten out. But, you know, for full transparency, they have started to flatten out. But then also it does say PSR 06, which I think maybe is like this portion of the shoe that like sort of grips underneath your foot. I don't really know if that's the case. This one doesn't say that, this Shamans, but maybe that's because this is like a different type of wrap. I don't really know.
Caleb, we've been through this. Stop being a liar. You do know. Remember the screen where it talks about Evo wrap, 1 millimeter tension rubbered midsole? That thing is probably the wrap around there. And here's the Shamans, the regular Shamans, not the Trances. It has this midsole thing. So obviously you know exactly what the difference is between those two things. It's right there.
But it does kind of feel good. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like the shoe does tighten up around the midsole, which is what I would expect a shoe to do, especially for a shoe that is an aggressive shoe. Also, not for nothing, but it's pretty cool that there's a different color in there. There's a red, whereas the rest of it's kind of purple. And if you look at the Shaman low volumes, it's basically just purple. There's no additional color. It'd be the same with Shaman medium volumes, or I guess not low volumes. I don't know if there's a high volume. Is there a high volume?
Dude, Caleb, you've got to start doing your research before you hit the record button. Adding in these post-edit transition things is time-consuming, and it sucks. Yes, there are medium volume and low volume only. No high volume, right? I don't agree with the semantics of all of it, but that is what it is. Thank you for your time.
I think it's just medium and low, but the medium volumes are yellow and there's no additional color there. So if you're a fan of a little bit of color, there you go, you got it right there. Overall, how do I feel about my purchase of the Evolv Trances? Pretty good. I needed new shoes anyway, and I'm the kind of weirdo that I do like to gamble on something new every once in a while. I've generally favored resoling shoes. Resoling is a great option, and these are still candidates for resoling, so I could have done that and saved a little bit of money. But honestly, these were just, I don't know, new and cool and shiny, and I wanted to take a bit of a gamble on them. So I do really, really enjoy them. I'm excited to see how well they're gonna hold up over time. My guess is that they're gonna hold up swimmingly, because Evolv shoes tend to hold up pretty well, at least in my experience. If you have any specific questions about these Evolv shoes, or you want to see me do a short testing out certain things with these specific shoes, please let me know. I will be more than happy to answer those in the comments or create shorts based off of those comments. Otherwise, if you have an opinion on the Evolv Trances, if you've used those, please let me know. I'm curious to hear what other people think. Or if you have an opinion on Evolv shoes in general, let me know. I'm curious to hear that too. Do you love Evolv shoes as much as I do? You should. I don't get paid by Evolv, by the way. They should pay me. But I'm gonna keep saying positive things whether they pay me or not, so maybe they shouldn't pay me. That's like a bad business decision. I'm already on their side. Anyway, I've talked a lot. Why don't you watch one of these videos over here that YouTube thinks is worth your while? I also think that, but for some reason, YouTube has specifically chosen these ones as worth your while.